Just getting back out here with the team. Also went to a Taylor Swift concert, so that was exciting. But yeah, it's been really fun to get back out on the court with the team and get up and down, and we're super excited for this upcoming trip. We leave next Friday, so
There's new training footage of Kate Martin doing things with her body that flat out didn't exist a few years ago. Her trainer, Maxwell Schmarzo, has her running single-leg explosive drills, rebuilding her posterior chain from scratch, running live one-on-one reps that simulate real game defense, and building the vertical explosiveness to dunk. Clearly, things have changed ever since Kate Martin moved to the Golden State Valkyries. And when you watch it back-to-back with her Las Vegas Aces, footage where she averaged 11.5 minutes and 2.6 points on a team that wanted her to stay invisible, the gap between those two versions of her is almost hard to process. Kate Martin is ready to dominate, and her best friend Caitlin Clark loves it. Do you think Kate Martin will dominate this 2026 season? Let me know down in the comments below. It's like the Iowa legend herself, Kate Martin. Like a defensive back, we want to stay low, push to move, and cover some ground. Had to fight to stay in front of the offense, constantly staying low to move, and never letting the rope get tight. Let's talk about what Kate Martin actually was at Iowa, because people forget how good that team needed her to be. 13 points a game, 6.8 rebounds, 2 straight trips to the national title game, and a connection with Caitlin Clark that turned Iowa women's basketball into one of the most watched programs in the country. And Martin didn't just fill a role on that team. She defended multiple positions, grabbed boards in traffic against bigger players, hit threes when Iowa needed them, and almost never forced a bad play. The Hawkeyes ran through her as much as anyone, and the Las Vegas Aces noticed, taking her 18th overall in the 2024 draft. The funny thing is, Martin didn't even go to the draft expecting to get picked. She showed up in New York to support Clark, who everyone knew was going first overall to Indiana, and left with a draft card of her own. Pick 18, Las Vegas championship roster. Sounds like a great situation, right? With the 18th pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, the Las Vegas Aces select Kate Martin, except the minutes never came. 11 and 1 2 minutes a game, 2 and 1 2 points. A'ja Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, and Chelsea Gray were all eating deep into the rotation on a team that had just won back-to-back titles, and there was no space left for a second-round pick to actually develop into anything. When Chelsea Gray came back from injury, Martin's already thin role got thinner. And by the playoffs, she averaged 3 minutes across 6 games. 3 minutes. That's not a rotation player. That's a uniform. What's strange is that fans didn't stop paying attention to Martin just because Vegas stopped playing her. Jersey sales stayed strong. Social media buzz around her stayed loud, and the nickname Becky Hammon gave her, Money Martin, started spreading in a way that felt way bigger than 11.5 minutes a night. Kelsey Plum publicly talked about how steady and reliable Martin was. Hammon's nickname wasn't just cute. It was an admission that Martin delivered every time she stepped on the floor. The problem is every time she stepped on the floor was basically never. Feels sad that Kate Martin also hasn't gotten as much playing time the second half of the season. I feel like she deserves more, or maybe she deserves a different team. There's a real case that the AC's entire culture ran on protecting A'ja Wilson's status as the undisputed face of that franchise, and a player pulling genuine fan love without even playing complicated that picture. Wilson is a 4-time MVP and one of the best players alive. But the math on a roster built entirely around one star doesn't leave room for organic popularity to grow somewhere else. Martin's development flatlined in Vegas, not because she regressed, but because the environment had no use for her growth. Kate Martin is a fan favorite, and even though she didn't play too many minutes with the Aces last season, everyone loves Kate, and there was an uproar on Twitter when she got chosen by the Valkyries. Most players take a few weeks after a roster move to sort through their lives, figure out the logistics, and eventually start packing boxes. Kate Martin took 48 hours. The moment Golden State confirmed her as part of their inaugural expansion roster in 2025, she physically started pulling her Las Vegas apartment apart and clearing out her locker at the AC's practice facility. Not planning to pack, actually packing. 2 days after the announcement, the Las Vegas chapter was already in boxes. Her girlfriend at that time, Claire Granzi, was there for all of it. And the day-in-the-life footage from those 48 hours tells you more about how Martin felt in Vegas than any interview ever did. There's no sadness in it, no lingering, no longest looks around the apartment. She moves fast through every frame, focused and almost impatient. And the energy reads less like someone leaving a place they loved and more like someone who'd been waiting a long time for permission to go. We had to go get boxes to start packing up my apartment. And Claire was amazing with this. She was an awesome help. And then U-Haul, if you know, you know. Sydney, my marketing manager, was a huge help through this whole process as well. She did stop by the AC's facility one last time and said goodbye to veterans like Alicia Clark and Kaya Stokes at a farewell dinner before she left. But that dinner wasn't drawn out or emotional. It was quick, clean, and by the time it finished, Martin was already mentally somewhere else. When she talked to ESPN right after the Valkyries drafted her, she put it plainly, "I'm really excited. This league is all about opportunity, and you just need one shot, right? I'm very thankful for the Aces and everything I got to learn there, but I'm really excited for this new beginning and to build something from the ground up here with the Valkyries. Grateful, sure, but not sentimental and definitely not looking back." The one-way flight from Las Vegas to San Francisco is the detail that stays with you. Not a round trip to check out the city, not an open return, one way. You don't book a one-way flight unless the decision is already done in your head. And for Martin, it clearly had been done for a while before Golden State ever called her name. Next, we headed over to the facility and I had to clean out my locker. This was really bittersweet. This is kind of when everything hit me when I walked in the gym and realized this is not where I'll be practicing anymore. But I am super excited for the next chapter. When you sit with the fact that Money Martin was circulating all over social media while she averaged 11.5 minutes a night, it starts to make sense why she left so fast. That kind of gap between how fans see you and how much your own team actually uses you doesn't just sting once. Golden State coach Natalie Nisi already had a relationship with Martin going in, and the Valkyries front office spent 2 months reviewing film and building a roster specifically around players who fit what they wanted to build. O'Neill talked about wanting players who'd embraced being historians of a brand new franchise. For Martin, that wasn't a sales pitch. I'm happy to see Kate go to Golden State, however, because she definitely needs to be a part of a growing team, maybe not an already established one. And there are so many great things about Kate's game, and it seems like she's just a hard worker at that. And she is willing to step into any role that she needs to play on whatever team that will be. So, I think that she'll do great next season, hopefully get more minutes, and start finding her own as a player in the WNBA. Maxwell Schmarz doesn't sit down with a player and ask them what they want to work on. He watches film, finds the physical limitations that actually showed up in games and builds the program from there. With Martin heading into year 3, the Vegas footage gave him a specific list to work from. And the off-season program he built starts literally at the ground level. Posterior chain, hips, glutes, single-leg explosive work, all of it targeting the foundation a guard needs to accelerate through traffic, hold her ground defensively against bigger wings and finish at the rim without getting knocked sideways on contact. Working with Kate Martin today, and oh my goodness, did she just touch the rim? The single-leg explosive drills are the part that jumps out most in the training footage. This isn't standard weight room stuff where you squat heavy and call it a day. These drills are built around the exact moments in a basketball game where your body needs to produce force off one foot, a hard cut, a drive into the lane, a closeout on a shooter, and the reps are structured so that force production becomes automatic. Martin shouldn't have to think about generating power on a drive. It needs to happen before her brain catches up. And that's what the drill design is actually targeting. We start the workout off with a movement series, working on our foot striking ability, doing an upright stance, something you might see with sprinters, then some easy rhythm work on the court before going to the weight room. We use the weight room to help support our training on the court. So, working on specific postures, positions, and how we express our strength explosively. We don't just want to be strong in a given lift. We want to be strong when we move. That's where I think some carries can be really useful for upper body work, along with learning how to use your body to actually push and move someone else's body. For a player who spent her first professional season logging 11.5 minutes a night, there's a real gap between what her athleticism looked like in college and what it got to become at the pro level. The reps she missed in Vegas weren't just playing time. They were development reps, the kind where you test your body against elite competition, figure out what breaks down under pressure and fix it. Schmarzo is running a compressed version of the 2-season development process Martin never got to go through, which means this off-season is doing a lot of work at once. These drills are awesome because they're extremely competitive, and when something's competitive, it's fun and you try really hard. We take that same concept of competitiveness and apply it into our shooting drills, working on the speed of our shot and some of the eye tracking as well. I can't just sit on the sideline and get threes rained on me, so I had to hop in the drill. This one here works on our eye tracking as the ball comes in front of our vision, and this one right here works on us covering some distance. Drop push to go. So just like you saw in those lunges, the rim touching footage circulating online is the clearest proof that the training is actually translating into something physical. Martin touching a 10ft rim isn't a stunt. It's a direct output of the posterior chain and explosiveness work. And Schmarzo has pointed out that it shows up in her release speed and jump shot mechanics too. Because the same leg drive that gets her hand to the rim is the same force that gets the ball out faster on her jumper. You can't fake that on film. Once the on-court work starts, the drills shift to eye tracking during shooting. Footwork patterns both off the catch and off the dribble, and live one-on-one reps that put Martin in offensive and defensive situations at game speed simultaneously. The eye tracking work is specifically about cleaning up her shooting mechanics enough that her release stays consistent, even with a hand in her face. And that's the exact difference between a player who looks great in practice and one who can actually be trusted in a close fourth quarter. Then once we're warmed up, we get some footwork prep before moving into more basketball-specific drills, taking that same concept of acceleration, but now applying it onto the court. These are turn and run full speed finishes. Minute the ball hits the ground, Kate gets to go. I'm trying to tag her on the back. And if I tag her before she scores it, I get a point. If she scores it, she gets a point. Ball handling and finishing in traffic are getting just as much attention because Natalie Nikas's system is going to ask Martin to do far more off the dribble than the Aces ever asked of her. Getting to the rim and converting through contact isn't something you can drill your way into without live reps. So, the one-on-one work isn't just conditioning. It's the closest thing to actual game experience she can get before the season starts. Schmarzo put it plainly when talking about what Martin brought into this off-season. The basketball IQ was never the problem. The competitive instincts, the decision, the defensive awareness, all of that came with her from Iowa fully formed. What the training is doing now is building the physical tools to match what was already there mentally. It just meant the physical development got frozen while the IQ kept growing. Then we mess with some of that footwork that we were training earlier, but this time with the ball in our hand, working on swiping off an offhand and bumping the body. And then back to that old basketball thing with some acceleration shooting. One dribble creates space from the defender. I'm trying to go block the ball. The minute I hear the ball bounce, I can run after it. Then after the higher intensity work, we do some volume competitive shooting, keeping track of scores and trying to win specific spots. By 2026, the ceiling Martin is operating at looks structurally different from anything she brought to Vegas, not because she became a different player, but because the physical limitations that capped her are getting addressed one by one with someone who specifically knows how to fix them. Caitlin Clark has been watching the footage from Indianapolis, and she hasn't been quiet about it. The Valkyries don't need Martin to average 25 points and carry the franchise on her back. They need her to do what she's always done: defend 2 or 3 positions, hit open threes, pull down boards, and make the right pass instead of the flashy one. The difference in 2026 is that she's actually going to get real minutes to do all of it, and that changes everything about how her season plays out. Golden State isn't walking into this year with an entrenched pecking order like the Aces, where 4 veterans have already divided up the rotation, and a second-round pick has to fight for scraps. Nuz is still building culture on a 1-year-old franchise, and Martin's existing relationship with her means there's already real trust and communication there, which is something Martin never had with the A's coaching staff. When Nikas talks publicly about confidence and loyalty as the foundation of what she's building in Golden State, Martin is the player on that roster who actually fits that description most naturally. I mean, we've seen it with Kate Martin and in how celebrated she has been since being selected by the Valkyries. She is now the face of the Golden State Valkyries. I think it's fair to say the roster around her, a mix of international players and veterans like Alana Rupert, Veronica Burton, and Kayla Thornton, are all still sorting out their roles, too. So, Martin isn't pushing against a wall of players who have already claimed their spots. There's space for her, and the organization put her there on purpose. That does come with pressure, though. Bay Area fans are buying Martin jerseys. The Valkyries built a fan base faster than most expansion teams do, and Martin's face is the one most attached to that energy right now. That's a different weight than sitting at the end of a Vegas bench where nobody expected anything from her anyway. But Kate Martin is a needle mover in that sense. She's popular. Her fans feel an attachment to her. So when she goes to Golden State, you can expect that apparel to move, because anyone who wants a Valkyries jersey, you're going to have the Kate Martin fans who buy it. You're going to have the Iowa fans who buy it. And then you're going to have the people who want to support the Valkyries who buy it. But she carried weight at Iowa without flinching. Clark was the global story on that team, and Martin's whole job was to make everything around Clark function without needing recognition for it. Now the recognition is actually coming her way, and the off-season footage suggests she's been preparing specifically for a version of herself that can absorb it and still just play basketball. The rebounding instincts that got her 6.8 boards a game in college didn't vanish in Vegas. They just had nowhere to go. The defensive versatility was always there. What Schmarzo added is the explosiveness and the finishing and the physical confidence that comes from an entire off-season with a trainer who's treating her like a breakout player, not a depth piece. Then on the court, we work on a ton of defense, and after our defensive work, we work on some offensive acceleration, shooting, and scoring at the rim. A lot of these moves place a lot of demand on your hips. You have to be able to stabilize and load through the movement in order to explode up into your jump shot. Then at the end of it all, we play some live one-on-one. We want to work on trying different moves here. This is where you get to work on stuff you wouldn't always do in practice with a team. That's how you get better. And yes, I got caught slipping right here. She caught me leaning with some of those twitches, and you can see some really good off-arm work here. Swipe the arm down, bump off, create space. This one here is really awesome. Check out all the space we create with this. Watch the early Valkyries games against teams with smaller, less physical guards, and that's where the new Martin shows up first. Her ability to body up and defend through contact on those matchups will be immediately obvious. Clark posted, "Let's go Catter the moment Golden State drafted her." And that wasn't cheerleading. Clark knows exactly what Martin looks like when the environment finally fits. And the Aces are going to spend the next 12 months watching what they gave away for 11.5 minutes a night. Kate Martin is doing right now. The single leg drills, the rim touches, the live one-on-one reps with Schmarzo, all of it traces back to a gym in Iowa City and a friendship that started when 2 college kids were just trying to win basketball games. Clark and Martin went through 2 straight national title game runs together. And that kind of shared experience doesn't just fade because you end up on different rosters in different cities. Clark went to Indiana and became the face of the Fever, a cultural moment that went way beyond basketball. Martin went to Vegas and sat behind a dynasty that had no real use for her. The paths couldn't have split more completely, but when Golden State drafted Martin, Clark posted, "Let's go Cater" on Instagram almost immediately. And that post wasn't a publicity move or a brand moment. That's just what Clark actually felt. What people sometimes miss about their friendship is that it was never built on equal spotlight. At Iowa, Clark was the global story, and Martin's whole job was to make everything around Clark work. To guard the other team's best perimeter player, to grab the rebound when it mattered, to hit the open three and then get back on defense without needing anyone to notice. Martin did that for years and never seemed to resent any of it, which tells you a lot about who she actually is as a person. I know a lot of fans online just wanted to see her away from the Aces because they don't really like the Aces. Just when you're looking at the playing time and the personnel on that team and the role that Kate Martin had, and where she fell in the pecking order, it's a hard sell. Now the dynamic has shifted. Clark's watching from Indianapolis while Martin gets her own spotlight in the Bay Area, her own jersey sales, her own fan base. That showed up fast and loud for the Valkyries, and Clark is clearly happy about it. Not in a performative way, but in the way you're happy when someone you genuinely care about finally gets what they've been working toward. That's what 2 back-to-back title runs and years of genuine friendship actually looks like when it carries over into professional life. It's not coordinated posts or joint appearances. It's Clark seeing the expansion draft news and typing, "Let's go Cater," because that's the honest reaction. Martin spent 2 years in Vegas being underused on a team that didn't need her to grow. And now she's in Golden State with a trainer rebuilding her athleticism from the ground up, a coach who actually wants her there, and a best friend in Indiana who already knows exactly how good she can be. Do you think Kate Martin will dominate this 2026 season? Let me know down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen and we will see you in the next.